Hi, I'm your host, Michelle Poverman, a former anxious empath turned mostly grounded psychotherapist, intuitive guide, and energy healer, and this is Into the Work. And it isn't just a podcast, it's your actual invitation to break free from old patterns, end the cycle of your self-abandonment, and finally step into the life your soul has been craving. Each episode is a spark to help you rise higher, to help you shine brighter and reclaim the truth of who you really are. The spark has already been lit. And sister, this is a journey from spark to brilliance. So together, let's go ignite a fire. Hi, welcome back to the show. Today we are talking about inherited silence. Today is a special episode because at the end of this episode, I'm going to guide you through a powerful visualization, one where you're going to connect with the women who came before you and step fully into your own voice. It'll be brief, but it will be powerful, so you don't want to miss it, so stay to the end of the episode. Now, have you ever felt like you were holding back your voice, what you thought, what you had to say, like you were potentially even just staying quiet? Have you ever faded off into the background during a meeting or a family gathering, or, maybe not because you wanted to, but because something deep inside you sort of said it was safer that way? Maybe it was conscious, maybe it was unconscious. What if that silence isn't only yours? What if it was passed down to you? An inherited survival strategy carried by the women before you. Today, we are going to discuss this inherited silence, and this is the ancestral and family patterns of women being quiet, staying safe, and being and feeling unseen. And more importantly, we're going to talk about how we can honor where this came from, while also breaking the cycle and stepping fully into our own voices. So today I'm just going to start with my own little story from my own lineage here. Make it real. It was about 2002, and I was in grad school, and I was given this task in school to do something similar. I needed to look back at my ancestral line and kind of take a look at what's happened and how that might have impacted me through these other lives. It was very interesting. I was told to interview some people, and so I chose my grandmother. Now, my grandmother is, my grandmother is French Canadian. That's what I've always known about her. And my grandfather is very, very Irish off the boat. And my grandmother sat down with me in my interview with her, shared that her great-grandmother, right, her grandmother's mother, was part of the Mi'kmaq tribe. And as part of this Mi'kmaq tribe, she lived on the reservation, and she was the first Indigenous person from her entire tribe, from her entire reservation, I should say, that I know of. The story is that she was the first person to leave that reservation and marry a white French Canadian. And it was, from what I gathered through asking questions, from what she knows, it was very painful. It was scandalous. I think she was cut off at certain points. I'm not sure. I didn't get a lot from her because I don't think she had a lot of the story. And when I brought this up to my rest of my family, you're right. So I brought this up and nobody knew about it. They were like, what? So they had this Native Canadian, Native American, I'm not sure where the heritage is truly from. They have this background and they don't even know about it. And could you imagine that potentially this was a secret, right? That this became something that wasn't talked about. Obviously, because my grandmother had no information about it. She didn't know very much about it. And yet it was a ginormous story. I could just feel it the way she talked about it, where, this drama occurring and this painful stuff happening. And I think it was silenced. I'm not sure how she went forward with her Native American or Native Canadian status. And so with her Mi'kmaq status. And so, it sort of got watered down and not talked about, but it also describes how some of my uncles looked very different in terms of their skin color and different things about them. It was like, oh, wow, okay, that makes sense. So that was really eye-opening. And when I learned it, it connected so many dots for me. I could see how silence had been woven into even my own family line, not just in that original story, but my way my grandmother sort of was. I loved her, she loved me. I honestly always kind of felt like she just must be overwhelmed because she has 10 kids and then like 32 grandkids, right? Probably more than that. I'm forgetting the count right now in my head, but my cousins. But, it's a really huge family. And I just feel on some level, at first, I think growing up, I just never really thought much of just being one of many. But I realized as I was getting older and I watched her, she did really fade into the background at parties. And, you'd have to kind of quietly broach her and have conversations. And there was something in that was a different energy than the rest of my family because, they were a lot of women who have a lot of energy and they were great big personalities and pretty awesome. But honestly, I do believe that we were all shaped by the things that were never talked about. I think that, in fact, that's a quote that I came across, if you've ever heard of Michelle Norris, but I came across this quote when she was talking and writing about the own things she discovered through learning about racism and struggle and the unspoken things in her family when she dug deep. And she was writing about how she recognized that she was shaped by the things that they never talked about. And I think that that's true for all of us in many ways. And there's a pattern to that, and that gets passed down to us in certain ways. We know in epigenetics it does. What I've come to understand, silence often begins as survival. And for many women, not speaking up, not being seen, or not taking up too much space was the safest way to exist. Maybe it was about staying safe in their marriages, the women that came before you. Maybe it was about avoiding conflict because it wasn't safe. They didn't grow up in an environment where it was safe or felt safe anyway. Maybe it was about keeping the peace in their communities, but generation after generation, potentially, this silence can become the default. It sort of gets passed down. And so we find ourselves, women today, still carrying it forward, even though the world around us has changed so much, even though the circumstances are different. We don't necessarily speak up in meetings. We downplay our accomplishments. We swallow our opinions at the dinner table, perhaps, right? Or we swallow our opinions in groups of people. And it's not always because we're afraid in the moment. It's because silence has been written into our genes, into our bones, into who we are. And here's what's important, though. This silence doesn't mean weakness. And I just want to say this. It is a form of wisdom. Everything is intelligence, honestly. And when you look back, it's easy to look back at our moms and our great-grandmothers and hearing the stories, and we can judge. But realistically, likely, it was a beautiful form of wisdom. It was how they kept themselves, their families safe. And because of them, we are here. And so before we shift the pattern, we do need to honor it. And I think that's part of the process of letting go. So I invite you to definitely take a deep breath and think about the women who came before you, your mom, your grandmother, her mother. Maybe you know their stories. Maybe you don't. Maybe you feel into them. You just sense. Maybe you even look at your father's side and their generational of women and what they feel like to you. And what did their silence protect them from? What did it cost them? And how has it shaped you? There was a study that observed women in academic spaces, and they sure enough found that women ask fewer questions than men in academic seminars, and both self-reported and in observation. But one reason women gave them was they said they felt a sense of hesitation, and they didn't feel confident was a common word used. And also what was stated was they were waiting for the opportunity when it felt safe. But that opportunity didn't come because they didn't actually perceive it as safe, right? So they were waiting to feel safe, but then it never got to that point. It never felt safe. But, structural factors also matter. Like if men were the ones to open up questions, women would tend to speak less. Even in these spaces that are meant to be open, so academia, workplaces, silence shows up in subtle ways. And often because the patterns from our line have taught us to wait. Wait your turn. Only speak if you have something really worthy of saying, right? Don't look stupid, right? That's for sure. Don't say or do something that's going to catch a lot of attention. And maybe, there's messaging that you relate to that aren't those things. But for sure, we're waiting to be sure that our voices will be welcomed. That's what I think. We're waiting to make sure that, sense this out. Is it going to be safe? Now, I think that the first step in breaking this cycle is observation. I want you to notice where you still carry inherited silence in your own life. Maybe it's your workplace where you hold back ideas. Maybe it's in your relationships where you don't ask for what you need. Maybe it's in the way you dream smaller than you really want to, but you just can't, your brain doesn't even want to go there, right? It's almost like an unconscious shutdown. The truth is, you don't have to carry this forward. You are the cycle breaker. You signed up to come down here at this time, and now you're listening to this episode, right, of this podcast, and you're the one who gets to honor your ancestors by doing what they couldn't. And that's by speaking more loudly, by showing up, by being fully seen. That is how you break the cycle. So now let's just jump forward into a guided visualization. So I'm going to walk you through this, and we're going to look at how you can be a part of this in a ceremonious way where you can claim your voice and break this code, right? So before we close, I want to invite you to just start to take a few deep breaths. Wherever you are, I want you to take a comfortable seat, close your eyes if it feels safe, and take a nice deep breath in and slowly exhale on the way out. And now if you're driving, obviously, if this feels if this starts to make you sleepy or make you feel at all off, I obviously don't want you to do this while you're driving. Now, I want you to take one more deep breath because that's what really settles the body. So breathing in really slowly, holding it at the top, and then you're just going to go ahead and breathe it out. Perfect. Now I want you to imagine yourself standing in a long line. Behind you are the women of your lineage, your mother, your grandmother, her mother, and all the women that came before her. Some you may know by name, but others are unknown, but their presence is strong. I want you to feel what it feels like to stand in front while the entire line of your ancestors, by all these women standing behind you. As you feel them gathering behind you, I want you to imagine each one placing a gentle hand on the shoulder of the woman in front of her until the weight of their hands rests upon you. And now I want you to take in a really slow, deep breath as you breathe in this energy of all of these women connected. You are supported by their entire line. Notice how their energy feels. Maybe it's strong, maybe it's tired, maybe it's quiet. Just allow it to be what it is. And breathe that in again. Sense their hands on your shoulders. And you are all locked in together, breathing together. And now with another deep breath, I want you to, in your mind's eye, picture them whispering words into your ear. Words they never had the chance to say out loud. words they really longed to speak. They wanted to say these things. They held them back. Let those words flow into your heart, your throat, and your very being. And now take another deep breath. And let those words come quick and fast. Imagine yourself now stepping forward. And as you do, their hands release, not because they are leaving you, but because they are passing the torch. The silence ends with you. See yourself standing strong, your chest open, your voice clear. And when you are ready, speak, either out loud or silently in your mind, more powerful out loud. So if you're alone, say it out loud. A sentence that claims your voice. Something like, I am here. My voice matters. I will be heard. Let it echo through your body, through the line of the woman behind you, and ripple into the daughters and granddaughters who will come after you. Take one more breath, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes. You are the cycle breaker. You are the voice your lineage has been waiting for. Every time you speak up, you create through your voice, through your being. Every time you create through being seen and heard and known, every time you set a boundary, which allows you to be seen, heard, and known, you are breaking a cycle. And it is beautiful, and you are being watched, you are being held and loved. You are not just speaking up for yourself, you are speaking for every woman who comes before you and every daughter, granddaughter, and great-granddaughter who will come after, right? The time is now to be seen, to be heard, to be known. I don't know a better time for us women to truly step into our power, not power over, but the true power that we have, which is coming from a nourishing, nurturing, loving, and kind place, that we can exude love while we also hold leadership, while we also have our voice and share it. You are the cycle breaker. You are the voice your lineage has been waiting for. If you are interested in going deeper with this, I highly recommend you go to the show notes and click on the People Pleaser Recovery Kit, because it includes a powerful workbook. And it's called Breaking the Legacy of Pleasing, Becoming a Generational Cycle Breaker Journal Prompts. And this is how we do it. You just walk through and you answer some of these questions, and they get you to really go deeper into what it is, what are the cycles that you need to break, and where do they come from, and honoring them, as well as separating yourself from that attachment any longer, honestly. So you can find that in the show notes under the People Pleasing Recovery Kit. I hope you were able to be inspired by today's episode to really step into breaking these chains, recognizing what exists before you, how they've shaped you, what your stories are that came before you, and how you can truly break that mold and step into taking up space and really sharing yourself with the world, because we need you, sister. I mean it. We need you. We need all of us to really, truly rise up and put ourselves out there. I can't tell you how many women I meet that have businesses and different things on their minds, but they don't know how to move forward, and they get really stuck in the visibility and the being seen and heard and putting yourself out there and claiming a space. All of it is personal power work, and all of it is stuff we do inside the Modern Empath Boundary Mastery class also, which is also open still. But yes, I encourage you to truly step into your power and step into your gifts. So as always, thank you so much for listening. I love you. I appreciate you. Go ahead, and if you have a moment, I would love it and appreciate it if you could just jump on to the 5-star rating and just click 5 stars. It really helps the podcast grow. Leave a review if you have another minute. I would be so appreciative. That would mean so much. Okay, thank you so much. Have a beautiful week. See you next week. Bye for now. Thank you for joining me on Into the Work, Therapy for Empaths and Seekers. If this episode spoke to you, please follow the podcast and leave a review. It is the best way to spread this healing work to other women. Your presence here matters. Step into your power, heal your soul, and rise with women who are doing the same. Keep joining us every week, and together we can heal the world. If you're ready to dive deeper, grab your free Shadow Work Transformation Bundle in the show notes, and I will look forward to seeing you next week.